Welcome, everyone. Glad that you're joining me for our second lesson using modeling dough. Today, we're going to be sculpting the life cycle of a plant. I'm Nicole Hummel, ceramic artist based here in Eugene, and I'm going to share a little bit. We're going to be, yes, like I said, exploring the life cycle of a plant. A life cycle shows how living things grow and change over time. And all plants and animals go through life cycles, including humans. Our focus today is going to be on the first part of the plant's life cycle, which is called germination. I'm going to be teaching you how to use sculpting dough to model the first part of a plant's life cycle. We're going to be exploring the way that a seed develops into a seedling and using the clay to represent this transformation. First, before we begin, we're going to take a couple deep breaths together and do a little mindfulness exercise so that we can be fully engaged in the process of making our plant life cycle. So take a moment to close your eyes, wiggle your fingers, and take a really full deep breath in. And exhale with a and we'll do that one more time. Then with your eyes still closed, reach your arms high up to the sky. Deep breath in. Then reach your arms out wide to the side. Deep breath in and out. And then give yourself a squeeze, hug yourself. Deep breath again. And you can bring your hands down to your legs and open your eyes. And these mindfulness exercises can really help you to center yourself, to be more connected to where you're at in this moment so that we can really enjoy the process of working with the modeling dough together. So now that we've done our mindfulness exercise, we are going to organize our materials. You're going to need the yellow and the green clay from our first class. Yellow and green. And you're going to need a toothpick. Also, a little spoon can work. A little butter knife could work. Basically, anything that has kind of a pokey edge, something that can make an indentation in the clay. If you don't have one of those things, you can also just use your fingers and we'll figure that out. So now that we've organized our materials, we're going to set up our workspace. You can move your modeling dough off to the side, move your toothpick or whatever tool off to the side, and make sure that you have a nice clear space to work on. We're going to be needing some sort of firm backdrop kind of thing to hold your sculpture. So this could be a piece of cardboard. It could be a cutting board. It could even be a plate. So if you could grab that, and that could be in the center of your workspace. So now that we have organized our ingredients and set up our workspace, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we sculpt a seed and what a seed is. A seed holds all of the information for a new plant to grow. Essentially, what a seed is it's a packaged up tiny plant with a protective coating that can travel through space and time. And that's really literal because once a plant drops its seeds, they can last for years and they can travel really far away. So these are little space-time travel capsules, which is pretty amazing. They're very resilient. So today we're going to be sculpting a plant seed. You're free to choose whatever color dough you like. I recommended the green and the yellow because I'm going to be demonstrating sculpting a pumpkin seed. But all seeds, there's hundreds and thousands of different kinds of seeds, and seeds come in all shapes and colors. So I'm going to give you a little exercise at the end of our class to keep continuing to explore different kinds of seeds. But for the purposes of what I'm going to be demonstrating, we'll just need the yellow and the green today. So now you're going to look down at my hands. I have my yellow and my green. We're going to start with taking a small piece of the green clay. We really only need a very small amount. Seeds are tiny, especially pumpkin seeds are actually pretty big in the scheme of things, but I'm going to start sculpting a little teardrop shape. You can see here I'm kind of making it pointy on one side, rounded on the other side, and it's pretty flat. So seeds have different components to them. They, like I said, they have all the information for this new plant to grow. They also have food to feed that little embryo. So the embryo is what will develop into the plant, but included in the seed is a little, is some food essentially for it to be able to have nutrients as it sits inside of the seed. It also has a protective coating, and that's what we're going to be sculpting next. So I just made this very smooth little teardrop shape, just smoothing out all those little cracks. And now we're going to be making the coating. And the protective coating is what allows the seed to basically weather time and space, protects everything inside of the seed so that it can travel far, so that it can live a long time and still continue to grow a plant. So I'm going to create a very flat piece of clay. You can see this is very thin, and I'm pinching it with my hands. And if you start getting some cracking, that's okay. A cool thing about Play-Doh and clay is that you can kind of fuse it back together. That's a property of clay that we call plasticity. So I'm pinching the clay, making a very, very flat piece. Now I'm going to envelop my little seed inside of this. So I'll set the seed on the side, and I'm going to fold it over. And I'm going to tear off the edges so that we just have what surrounds the green. So in this case, the green part would be the embryo and the food for the seed, the nutrients for the seed, and the yellow is the protective coating. So you can kind of see the green a little bit through the yellow here, but I'm starting to sculpt the edge, smoothing out these edges. The last thing I'm going to do for this seed is I'm going to use my toothpick to create this little edge. Pumpkin seeds, if you've ever looked at them closely, have kind of an indentation around the edge. And so that's what I'm using my toothpick for. You can use the side of a spoon for this. You can use a little knife for this. You can even use your fingernails. The cool thing about working with clay, with modeling dough, is that really the only tools that you absolutely need once you have the clay are your hands, and you can do so much with your hands. So I kind of did an indentation around on that side, and we're going to do the same on this side. Kind of smoothing out, decorating the edge of the protective coating of our seed, our pumpkin seed. And again, at any point, if you feel overwhelmed, stressed out, oh, mine doesn't look exactly like Nicole's, this isn't good, don't smush it. Try to just continue to gently hold the seed. Try to continue to shape it a little bit. Everybody's seed will look different. And I know that it can be frustrating if you don't get it the first time or if it's not looking exactly like mine. So here's my little seed, a little pumpkin seed. Okay. So next we're going to talk about germination. And germination, so you can go back to my face here. Germination is what happens when the seed begins to grow. A seed needs just the right conditions in order to sprout or to begin to grow. Usually this consists of soil, water, and sun. So a little bit of moisture, a nice nurturing environment, and some heat or sun warmth that allows the seed to start to send out its roots. So what happens first with germination is that the seed develops roots to anchor itself in the ground. Then it starts to sprout a stem that pushes the seed towards the light, so that it can sprout its first leaves. So we're going to begin here with the root of the seed. We're going to be opening up the outer layer of the seed and creating some coils that are going to be the roots. So let's begin with creating a couple little coils here. I'm going to take again just a small amount of my clay, break it up into, actually we'll keep that all together like that. And I'm going to create a coil by rolling this on the ground or rolling this on my work surface. So you can see as I'm rolling it, it got a little crumbly, right? You saw that just broke. And here that's happening again. And maybe that's happening for you. Maybe it's not. But this is just an opportunity to kind of work again with that plasticity of the clay to fuse it back together and create a nice long coil. And it works well to kind of pinch like this. That helps the clay stick together really well. So we're going to just create a couple that are about an inch long. You can see it's maybe kind of the size of, maybe it'd be the size of your pinky, maybe a little bit longer. I'm going to make a couple of these. Pinching. You can also roll in your hand like this. That seems to be working pretty well for me. Okay, so now that we have our little coil roots, we're going to open up this seed and start to attach them. So you can use your whatever tool you have to kind of open up that protective coating. And what we're really reenacting here is the real process of what happens when a seed germinates. Essentially, the roots start to sprout out of this protective coating, that yellow coating that we did. There we go. And then this opens even more. And this little tiny inner layer, which was the embryo and the food to nourish the embryo, comes out and becomes the stem. So I'm going to turn this little part of the seed that was at the inside of the protective coating into a stem. See, I'm pinching it. I'm going to lift this up so you can see it sideways, but you might want to keep yours on a surface. I'm going to start making this into a stem by pinching it. And at this point, imagine still that this is under the surface of the soil. So this is buried still deep in the ground, not very deep in the ground, probably just an inch or two below the surface. And this stem is pushing up, up, up until it breaks the surface of the soil. So there we go. And now we're going to use the green again to create two little leaves. So you can create two little pieces of clay and start to shape them into leaves. And again, this is kind of like a teardrop shape at first. Pinching it kind of flat here. And feel free to really get into this. We can use a little toothpick here to create little veins in the leaf. You can also use your fingernails for this, or whatever tool it is that you have. You can create little marks down the side. I encourage you to enjoy this process. Let yourself get into really decorating it. You can even look up, oh, what do the first leaves of a pumpkin sprout look like? Decorating both sides of the leaves with veins. So there's one little leaf. You can see it here. And then we'll do the other one. So I sculpt that kind of teardrop shape, pinching my fingers together close on one side, close on the other side, and then flattening it by pinching the entire amount of clay in my hands. And you can use your fingers to kind of smooth out that side, press those sides so that there aren't any cracks. You see I have cracks in the edges. Maybe you do too. So smoothing out all these edges. And then I'm going to use my toothpick once again to create some texture on this leaf. Do the other side. Remember to come back to your breath here. Always breathing. Very easy sometimes to get really, really into your project and then forget to breathe or forget to be aware of your body. And when we work with our hands, it's really good to be able to check in like that again. So let's take a deep breath together. Okay, so now we're going to attach our two little leaves to the top of the sprout. So like we said, we have the roots here that went down into the ground. The little embryo and the nutrient packet of the inside of that protective coating of the seed lifting up, forming the stem, starting to push towards the light. And then here's where the stem emerges from the ground, has its two little leaves that are first kind of sandwiched together like this and then open up. So we're going to attach these to the top of our sprout. And there we go. You've got a little sprout. Again, it might not hold together very great. That's okay. This is more about, again, the process, learning about the different stages of the life cycle of a plant. It's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if it falls apart even. This is all just practice and process. So there we go. We sculpted the stages of germination, the first stages of the life cycle of a seed, from that coating, from the seed with its protective coating over to the roots coming down into the ground as that protective coating opens, and then the stem pushing towards the light and opening its first leaves. So take a moment to close your eyes and think about this process. Think about what it was like to sculpt the process. Did you get frustrated at some point? Was it kind of cool to learn more about the seed and then translate that into working with your hands and kind of modeling it? So you could see it more. You could understand that a little bit better. So taking a moment to just think about what your favorite part of this process was. You can take another deep breath here. And yeah, I want to thank you all for tuning in and participating. I encourage you to check out too different types of seeds. Feel free to do some research and look at what a tomato seed looks like. What does a tomato seed look like? What does a calendula seed look like? What does a carrot seed look like? They are all different shapes, different colors, different sizes. A carrot seed is very, very small. So they all have different ways of, these plants all have different ways of packaging up all their information so that they can travel through space and time. And I hope that you can kind of get excited about that and explore it a little bit independently. Feel free to use your modeling dough to sculpt different types of seeds. And I'd love to see any of your results. So yes, and then in upcoming lessons, we're going to be looking at the rest of the life cycle of a seed. We have 2 more lessons after this one. So the next stage of the plant's life cycle, which is going to be the plant maturing, developing more mature leaves and starting to flower. So I hope that you can join me. It's great being here with you, and I hope that you enjoyed this class and hope to see you at the next one. Bye.